Hi, friends. I have a story I want to tell you because when I just told you about Palm Sunday, there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that all give stories about Palm Sunday. But there's an extra story I want you to see if you turn to Luke chapter 19. Before Jesus was getting into Jerusalem and before he asked the disciples to get the donkey and the colt, he passed by a special place. So I know you remember this song, and I think you remember this story, and it's a silly story, but it's a very special story, not also to forget. So if you turn to Luke 19, and I'm going to read from my Bible here, we're going to hear about Zacchaeus. Oh, yeah. See, I knew you would remember. Okay, so here we are. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. We remember Jericho. Remember when Joshua knocked the walls of Jericho down and we all yelled and pretended we have trumpets? Remember that? That was so much fun. So keep going. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was. Hey! Zacchaeus didn't know Jesus, but he heard about him and wanted to know. See what happens? Yeah, Jesus was very special. But because he was so short, he could not see over the crowd. Oh, man. So if you're listening to this story with your brothers and sisters, I want you to find the shortest one at your house. And if you have some dolls or some toys, you could pretend one of the toys is Zacchaeus. But this is a fun story to pretend, okay? And if you have mommy and daddy's permission, you can stand up in a chair and pretend that you're Zacchaeus, because Zacchaeus was short and he couldn't see, so he had an idea. And he says, I'm going to go ahead and climb the sycamore tree. And that's what he did to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. So climb, 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 get up nice and high, and you, whoever you are, you could pretend to be Zacchaeus. And then somebody else in the family can pretend to be Jesus, and the rest of you can pretend to be the noisy big crowd that's so tall that Zacchaeus cannot see through. Do you remember why there was always a crowd? Right, because everyone wanted to see Jesus' miracles. Everyone wanted to hear Jesus' stories. And there was always a crowd around him, right? Good. So now, when Jesus reached the spot of the sycamore tree, he looked up and said to him, he said, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. How did Jesus know that his name was Zacchaeus? Right, because he was God. He knew everything. He didn't say, hey, Mr. up in the tree. No, he called him by his name. God knows your name, he knows my name, and he knows everyone in your family's name too. And he said, Zacchaeus, you get down. But here's the best part. He didn't tell him to get down just because it wasn't safe. He says, I must come to your house today. What? So Zacchaeus didn't know about Jesus, wanted to know about Jesus, climbed a tree to see Jesus, and Jesus knew his name, told him to come down, and wants to come to his house. What? That would be so exciting, right? And so all the people saw this, and he came down. But you know what? Sometimes there's mean people. Yeah, they happen every now and again. And the people that didn't like Zacchaeus because he was a tax collector, that meant that he came around to the house and said, okay, I need some of your money. And not everybody likes that idea. Some people really don't like that idea. That's just not fun. And so they were like, oh, Jesus is going to the house of a sinner, and kind of talking bad And they said, all the people saw this and began to mutter. Mutter means to like say it under your breath like this so people can't hear it. And it's not very nice. It's kind of mean. And they said, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, this is what Zacchaeus said to God. This is so special. He says, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay them back 4 times. There's my 4 times the amount. So because Zacchaeus had Jesus's love and God's love in his heart, he said, all right, I'm going to take half of my things and I'm going to give them to people who don't have anything. Then, because he realizes he probably made some mistakes being a tax collector, and said, you know what? If I owe people and I took too much from them, I'm going to give them 4 times back the amount that I owed them. So if he owed somebody 1 penny, he would give them back 4 pennies. If he owed somebody $2, 2 times 4 makes 8. So he would give them $8. You could practice your times tables or adding by 4s, which is kind of hard, but you can try it. And that's what Zacchaeus did. Zacchaeus went around and he said, I am so sorry. I made mistakes. But guess what? God forgives you. Jesus forgives you. And then this is what Jesus says next. Jesus said to him, today, salvation has come to this house. Do you remember what salvation means? Right? It means that one day we get to meet God and Jesus in heaven. Oh my goodness. Oh, the best gift ever. Because this man, too, is the son of Abraham. Remember Abraham? Right. The ones who believe in Abraham. Me and you and mommy and daddy, and like that song that we sing, had many sons. Remember, God promised Abraham was going to have descendants, as many as the stars in the sky, as many as the grains of sand in the desert. Right? Everyone, millions and millions and trillions and billions. For the Son of Man has come to seek and save the lost. That's why Jesus came. Jesus came to find the ones that didn't know about him. Yeah, it was great that he had so many friends, and it was great that he had a crowd. But Jesus's real job was to find the ones who were like, I kind of want to know about Jesus. I kind of want to know about these miracles. I kind of want to know these stories that he's telling all these other people. They seem like they're happy. Right? Because they have joy. Jesus first. Yeah. So don't forget that. That's a fun story to play out with your toys or with your family. Okay? Bye-bye.